like I said, I was looking for developers, couldn't find anything. I had a lot of time on my hands, so I just went on YouTube and just taught myself how to code and build it. It's just important to be organized. It's important to have everything in one place. It'll make your life easier.
So welcome back to the Sidekick show. We're going to be focusing today on CRM and aerial measurements and things like that help make roofers, salespeople's businesses more successful, a little bit easier, some processes, some tips and tricks we're going to be talking about. Today we're going to be focusing mostly on just those two though. So if you don't know, a CRM is a customer management relationship software. It's a really good tool for helping to keep your customers satisfied, keeping communication, but a lot of people tend to overlook the backside where it helps your team stay organized, which of course keeps the operations running smooth. So today we're joined by Abraham. Right? Abraham is the owner of Pitch Gauge.
Yes, hello everyone.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, man. And you know, the thing about Pitch Gauge is a lot of people think, oh, it's an app, right? Like, oh, you can look at the pitch. But really it's so much more, right?
It is, yes.
And I think now you've even developed that CRM.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Awesome. Right. So, hope we're going to be able to talk a little bit to you, Abraham, today. But again, just thank you for joining the Sidekick show. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me here. It's a great setup.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
it.
So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, man. Can you give us a little bit of background for those who don't know you? Like, sort of, what's your background in like sales and roofing specifically?
Sure, yeah. So, again, my name is Abraham Ventura, founder and CEO of Pitch Gauge. And I started Pitch Gauge in 2008. I didn't know anything about roofing. And I didn't know anything about like the whole process. So a friend of mine called me up. He said, hey, a hurricane just hit Louisiana. I have a roofing company and I'm overwhelmed with work. So I told him, I was like, okay, great. He said, I need help. I said, I don't know anything about roofing. He said, just come on, I'll show you. So I went there, not knowing anything, just open-minded. So my job was to just knock on doors, ask people if I can give them an inspection, and if they say yes, I would climb on the roof, get my measuring tape, measure the roof. First make sure they have damage, then go up there and measure it, and then come back down and give them an estimate, and then work with their insurance company to go, get the roof replaced. So that's kind of how I got introduced to the roofing industry.
So you were knocking doors?
Yeah, knocking doors, yeah.
Man, climb on roofs?
Yeah.
And back then, how were you showing the homeowner damage? Were you like taking pictures? Were you doing videos? Or?
Yeah, I had just like a camera, then I just, it was just like a digital camera, and I just showed them, just click.
Yeah.
Here's your damage. That's what it looks like. I would look for certain things like granules on the gutters, and make just see that their shingles are deteriorating, things like that. So yeah, I was just the best way I could with the technology that was available back then.
Man, that's awesome. So now this was like a storm where it was kind of like you almost knew for sure every roof you got on was damaged.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised because I have never seen nothing like that. And I remember when I landed and I was driving to the office, I just saw blue tarps everywhere, and I'm like, I've never seen nothing like this. It was like every other house had a blue tarp, so it was really like you do have damage.
And what part of Louisiana was that?
Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Started there.
And that was 2008?
2008, yep.
Oh, man.
2008.
Okay. And was that a hurricane, or was that just a real bad storm that kind of...
No, it was a big hurricane. Hurricane Gustav caused over $8 billion worth of damage. It was very huge.
Okay, so that was kind of your first time really getting into the roofing then?
Yeah, that's the first time I had climbed the roof. I realized how dangerous it was, how scary it was at first. I kind of got used to it, but yeah, the beginning was pretty new to me and pretty intimidating and scary.
So somebody just starting out, what were some of the challenges that you sort of found, maybe your first couple months?
Sure. For me, the most challenging part was like facing the customer. I'd done a little sales, but just knocking on doors. Like I remember every time I knocked on the door, I'll be so nervous when like waiting on the customer to come out. It's like, was I going to say the right thing? Was the customer just going to shoo me away? So to me, that was one of the first things that I had to get through to be successful.
Nice. So do you think there was any sort of tips or tricks that helped you get through that, or did you find ways that you were able to sort of manage that?
Yeah, sure. So after a while, I realized that the best way to knock on a door and approach a customer is basically with an open mind, thinking that you're going to help the customer instead of you're going to help yourself. That's kind of what helped me, because I really like helping people. And when I knocked on the door and I was thinking I was going to sell them, that's a whole different attitude compared to if I knocked on the door and say, I really want to help this customer. Maybe they don't know about the process, and man, it would be great if I can help them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a big thing in the industry is if you know, people can read that too, right? These homeowners, they can sense that you're there to help them.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what made it easier, and I got better responses and things like that. So yeah, you're right.
Nice.
They can sense that right away. If you're a salesman, if you're too pushy, they're gonna be like, okay, out of here.
So you've got all these claims, right? You're working. You've got all these different homeowners. How were back then? Were you able to keep up with all of that? Because that's before the age of
Right. Yeah.
where we are now.
Yeah. At first, we were just doing briefcases and yellow envelopes and just kind of being everywhere and maybe save some pictures on the computer or in a folder and things like that. But literally, we were everywhere. Eventually, I developed the process to help me out. But in the beginning, we were just trying to figure it out, and it was just envelopes, briefcases, and things like that.
I remember the manila folders.
Yeah, the manila folders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
we sort of had the same thing because I started selling roofs in 2010, 2011.
Oh, okay.
Sort of the same thing. It was like write their customer's name on the tab.
Right. Yep.
You know,
That was
then
it.
you put all your documents in there, and then I think on the front of our folder we'd have like how many pipe jacks, how many this, and we'd write it
Yes.
on the front, right? You turn that whole folder in, and that's pretty cool. So it's a pretty similar experience. So how did you see like a need? Like at what point were you like, man, there's a gap and I need to fix it? Like what were some of the gaps you found?
One of the things that had me thinking about that I needed some help was I was trying to get organized, and I was trying to figure out what's the best way. So I figured like there must be a software for this. So I was looking on the App Store. I looked on the App Store and the Google Play Store, and there was nothing out there. That was back then when they had that quote saying, "Oh, there's an app for everything." So I looked, and there wasn't. So that's when I realized, okay, there needs to be something for the roofing industry to help us out.
And so you kind of had this idea, but is that something that you were like, oh, I've got experience, I can just do it? Or is that something you had to learn or figure out or get help? Or
Well, I was kind of in the beginning, I was hoping someone would build something. I was just kind of giving it time. And I waited for about a year. Nothing came out, nothing for the roofing industry. After a while, I heard of a friend of mine, or a coworker that I knew, fell off the roof. And then I was like, okay, I got to get serious about finding a software, finding ways to, be safer. So I just got an idea that there needs to be something out there. And at first, I didn't think that I could build something like that. I was looking for developers, and they were either too expensive or not interested. Everyone thinks the roofing industry is very small, but it's really a really big business. I think it's like $150 billion global industry or something like that. Not exactly quite sure on that number, but it's pretty big. So I remember that I had a plastic pitch finder, and I would you got to get the pitch, and I remember that I would get on top of the roof. I would get my measuring tape, measure the roof, and then when it was time to get the pitch, I would look for my pitch finder and I would leave it in the car. So then I was like, okay, I have my phone. So I found out that they had this bubble level app which allows you to hang pictures. So I thought like, okay, this should be able to detect pitch. So that's where I got the idea. Okay, I'm going to use this technology with this phone to build something like that. So I just, like I said, I was looking for developers, couldn't find anything. I had a lot of time on my hands. So I just went on YouTube and just taught myself how to code and built it.
Wow. So self-taught.
Yeah, self-taught. Yeah, I really just went on YouTube and I was like, how to build an iPhone app, how to add a screen, how to add a button.
That's
and I remember that in the beginning, I realized that you have to have a Mac in order to build an iPhone app. And I didn't have a Mac. I had a Toshiba PC, and I didn't have the money to really buy it at the moment because I was just starting off. I had a little money, but I was sending it back to my wife. We were expecting. So I went online, kept digging in, and I found out that you can actually turn a PC into a Mac. And they called it a Hackintosh.
Yeah.
So I literally turned it into a PC. Turned the PC into a Mac, and I was able to release our first version of Pitch Gauge.
Wow. So you got the first version thanks to a hack.
Yep, thanks to a hack. Yeah, yep. And then after that, I was able to buy it. Yep,
That's
exactly.
awesome. So I actually remember, was it 2011? Is that when it came out?
Yep, right
Okay.
there. Oh, our first version was 2010.
2010, first version.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's back when the logo was kind of like a blue background with a yellow house on it, I think. Was sort
Yeah,
of
that's
the
actually
icon.
our second version.
That's
Our
the
very
second,
first
okay.
version, not many people remember because I'm actually embarrassed of the first logo. But it was literally just a square and it had a 5/12, and that was the logo.
Oh,
That was the
okay.
pitch finder, yeah.
All right.
It was just a black and white logo, and that was the first version, Pitch Gauge 1.0.
Okay.
And then the second version, I added some color to it and made it a little bit
And
better.
was that it? The second version was
Yeah.
that 2011, 2012?
2012 is when I
Okay.
released the second version.
I,
Yeah.
I thought it was around that time because I remember when I first started selling, I used to kind of like you did.
Yeah.
I took a tennis ball and I taped one of those big 100-foot tapes to it, so I could throw the tennis ball into the gutter
Oh, okay.
and then pull it tight and then get my measurement.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to measure the roof. That was kind of our like stay safe. So if I'm sitting on the ridge, I can measure everything with the
That's
tennis
creative,
ball, right?
yeah,
And then I
very
can
creative.
pull it out and it pops out of the gutter.
Yeah, that's creative. I've never heard that one. That's great.
Hey, yeah. Anyone who doesn't have another way of measuring, do that. It's the best. And then we'd have the little, pitch finder you'd set on the. We'd have to take a picture of that.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I
right.
can't tell you how many times.
Great.
Either the first one was like, oh no, and I drop it and it lands in the gutter, and now
Right.
forget the tennis ball idea. I still got to go down there and get it.
Right.
Or yeah, you leave it in the truck, right? So I remember our whole office. There was like 17 or 18 of us that were employees in that roofing company, and it was like the talk, dude. It was like everyone was like, "Have you guys seen this app?"
Oh, wow.
Dude, everyone
Amazing.
downloaded it like in that meeting, and we
love
started
it.
using it like crazy. Now back then, I don't remember if back then we were able to snap the picture.
Picture. Yeah. So originally that was the first version. It had the white screen and also had the camera. So you
Okay,
were
so
able
it's
to
been
take
there the
pictures.
whole time.
Yeah,
I
it's
couldn't
been-
remember if it was or not.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing app. Like,
Great,
you
thank
you really changed the roofing industry, man, with that.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Well, it started from my friend falling, or a coworker that I knew, one of the roofers, installers. He fell off the roof, and I was like, this is crazy. Like we shouldn't be out here risking our lives that much. Like I was trying to minimize how much time I spent on the roof and how many like steep angles I had to stand on, and that's kind of where it started.
So at what point did the whole CRM thing like start? Because at some point you sort of expanded, right, your app, and you sort of brought in this
Right.
CRM, and you also brought in like aerial measurement reports, right?
Right. Yes.
So kind of tell me what happened first.
Sure. So the first version was that Pitch Finder. Then I got a lot of emails saying, "Hey, this is great, great reviews." So I was like, this could be a business. So I thought about, what else I could add to it, and I was still learning how to develop. So creating a CRM and aerial measurements is very complicated. So I had to. I was still in the process. I wasn't ready for that yet. I had the idea already, but I knew that I wasn't. It was out of my league. So I used formulas that's been around forever. It's called like a pitch factor formula. It's basically you enter the length, the width, and then you have a pitch factor. And with that, you can calculate like pretty much a great estimate. So I converted that and digitized it, and that was Pitch Gauge 2.0.
Oh, okay.
So Pitch Gauge 2.0, we introduced a square calculator, and then after a while, that kept building. We got accepted to certain like accelerators, and accelerators like where they bring you in, they mentor you. So I got accepted to that. We got mentors, we got a little bit of funding, and then that's when I had a lot of time to kind of really invest and take a deep dive into code and understand what it would take to build that. So I believe it was like 2014 is when I kind of released our first version, and all I did is as I was doing roofing, I moved on from the manila envelopes to like a board. So I had built a board, and I had like little magnets, and I can move them along so I can keep track of the customer. And I was like, I could make this into a software, and that could be my CRM.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm building it, I'm thinking about the industry, but at the same time I'm thinking like what would work for me and what would make it the easiest
So
possible.
you were still building this while you were still selling and in the industry.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I was in the day I would go sell, in the night everyone would go party, and I would just stay back and just code, just build.
Do you think that's a common thing where like, obviously there's a lot of other CRMs out there. Do you think it's common that those people worked in the industry?
The people who created the
like
CRMs?
prior or during or?
Well, I don't know. You have some founders out there that have a lot of experience. A lot of companies now, they just got a lot of investment and just started their own CRM. But the ones that are working well, they were created by a ex roofer or
That's
somebody
powerful because, if you're a roofing salesperson, right, and you're looking for a tool, to me, if I'm in any industry looking for a tool, I'm thinking like, man, it would make sense if it came from somebody who understands me as a salesperson, right? It's like, okay, I want someone who's been there knocking the door, someone who's been on the roof, someone who's maybe even installed the roof or at least been there during the process.
Right.
You don't want some company who's like, oh, well, here's the thing, we can sell you, and
Right,
we don't
exactly.
really. We've talked to some people, but we don't know it ourselves.
Yeah, the problem with that is that they start to add too many bells and whistles. They start to add so many things that you would never need, or that it would complicate you. Or like if you get new employees, the turnover rate is really high when it comes to sales rep. And when you're getting new people in like that, you don't want to spend a week or 2 weeks of training.
Oh, yeah.
You really just want to get them going. And that's kind of like what I focused on. I focused on the ability to get a new employee, show them the software, maybe watch a couple videos, and you're done. You're out there selling and knocking on doors and inputting data.
That's huge because, and you don't. The thing I like about your CRM that you guys have is the simplicity of it, right? It's super simple.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that anything's missing, right? You have what you need.
Exactly. Yes.
But you, a lot of these CRMs sort of are like, oh, they integrate with this and they integrate with that and integrate here, and it can get overwhelming. You said 2 weeks. I'm thinking, I wish I could train somebody in 2 weeks how to use some of these CRMs.
Right.
Sometimes it's 2 months, and then if you bring on somebody, you're like, okay, now you've got to sit here for a month and learn how to use this thing, and then they're always asking. I've spent some time, obviously we use Pitch Gauge for a lot of stuff. We're not currently using your CRM just because we're not a roofing business, right? But we love recommending you guys to roofers. The thing I think that really can be so powerful is that simplicity, and you sort of help people understand too, right? Like, here's how I would suggest using it, right? Because you don't have like a QuickBooks, right, integration or something, or
we have a QuickBooks integration,
Okay.
but we still so that's one of the few integrations we have. We don't have a lot of integrations because we don't want to send you shouldn't have to have 5-6 different apps to run your business.
So
we just
annoying.
keep it very simple. Billing, that's QuickBooks. We have like Dropbox, Google Drive, just for options.
Yeah.
But when I was building it, that's really what I focus on. I know that there's a lot of older people and people just don't really have time to learn technology. They don't want to learn it, and I just built something that anybody can just pick up and use. And I have people that are as old as 80 years old. Literally, somebody is a roofer. He just doesn't want to he doesn't want to quit working. He just likes it. But he just does it. It takes his time, measure the roofs, and then closes the deals. So
and I think it is pretty cool because we obviously, for our clients, we do a lot of admin work. For our clients, we kind of bring them in the door. We obviously have a very complex CRM that we've designed, right, that works between us and the roofer. But it's not a great tool for the roofer themselves, necessarily. It can be, but it's so complex, right, compared to what you have. So I think, man, what you've designed is pretty incredible. But what would you say if you had to think of something besides simplicity that really would draw a roofing company owner or his salespeople to use, say, the Pitch Gauge CRM?
So this might sound crazy, but I also try to make the software fun to use. I try to make it fun to use. I try to make it like you want to go in the app. I also added a lot of hidden features. So as you use it, when you first use it, you're like, okay, it's great. And then the more you use it, you're like, oh, I found this, it could do this. And it's things that you would think that it should do. And then when you realize it does do it and you didn't know the whole time. So I try to make it fun, engaging, you want to go on your software and use it. It's not just like, oh man, here I go, I got to go input some data. No, you want to go in there. We made it, added colors. We made it, big letters, kind of things that just draw you into it.
And doesn't it integrate too with your aerial measurements? It kind of all melts together.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the CRM, which basically is a way for you to manage your whole company. We have a company that started with 2 employees. Now they're up to 40 employees. They're a $50 million company. So we have companies like that, and we have it where you can to start a project, you basically, or to manage a project, you basically have 5 tabs. You have the contacts tab, you have everything about the homeowner, about the insurance. Then you have the photos and documents. That's where you can take pictures, annotate, send PDFs, to your customers. You can also integrate contracts and signatures and things like that. And then the measurements is the middle, that we call that PG precise. So that is the option where you can go in there and measure it yourself, and we make it really easy. Something that would have taken an hour and a half of you driving there and measuring and things like that, you can now do it from the office, from the car, in a minute. I can measure a roof in like a minute and 40 seconds and get like down to the inch in accuracy. And then the fourth tab will be the materials and labor costs and things like that. So work orders, and then the final tab will be the summary. So with just those 5 tabs, you can manage your whole project, and you can be like in and out. You don't have to worry about where's my file, where's this and that, and everything's in there. So
and you can push the card, right, so to speak, through different processes.
Yeah, exactly.
And are we able to go in and label our own steps, sort of?
Yes. Yep. So you have statuses, and that's kind of like how you move your cards to the side. But then you might want to say, we gave you default statuses, but you might say, hey, we have our own statuses. So you can create your own custom statuses and use that for your business, and then kind of have your card moving along. You can add statuses, and kind of all connects.
And so if like, let's say 8 different people are on this platform, the owner, maybe 7 sales guys. Is this a place where we can go and like comment and tag each other and leave messages, whatever? Yep.
So when you first create an account, you're the super admin. So you're the owner, and then you can invite employees. And there's different levels of permission. So you might have a production manager, you might have an office manager, and you might want everyone to see, that person to see everyone's projects. But then you'll have like a sales rep or a canvasser. Then you might only want that person to see their individual projects. So managers can go in there and comment and add and move things around, and the sales rep would be restricted to their project. And one of the cool things about that is that when you separate things like that, a minute an employee leaves and tries to go, you can lock them out, and they don't have access to none of their projects. They won't leave with your projects. I see that a lot.
Yeah.
So that's important.
That is good. And what about like the process of ordering materials? Is there sort of a process in there for that?
So we are trying to work with like the large suppliers. They're kind of resistant because they're already in partnerships with the bigger companies, and they're kind of hesitant. But the way we're seeing it is that it's kind of coming from the inside out. So we're getting a lot of our contractors to come to them and say, hey, we need this. So they're getting approached to that. So now they're working with us a little bit more. We really are trying to work with SRS, ABC, and Beacon and things like that. But we have it where it's easily, so we provide like localized pricing. So you can look up, so you can find your pricing in your area, and we update that, and you can download it. You can create a material list, and then you can just export that and send it right to your supplier.
So in the app, we're able to go in and sort of make like can we name our own materials and create like a whole material order?
Yep. So we give you a template, but then also if you want to create your own, we allow you to export a XML file. Excel file where you can just add your materials, your pricing, and then you import it back into PitchGage, and then you can share that with your whole team. And
so if you have custom products that you install, custom colors, like we can create all those line items.
Yep, you can create individual line items, you add pictures to them, and everything shows up.
Just put your quantities in, and then it just basically will generate like a nice PDF.
We
get emailed or
right. So what we did is we got really creative with how it calculates the materials. So once you measure, you have all the data, so you know how many ridges and valleys and stuff like that. So whenever you create a material list, or when you want to add a new material, we can say, okay, where do you want this material to grab from? You want to grab from ridges? Okay, great. So it grabs from ridges. Or squares, and how many, how much does it cover? Does it cover, one square covers, 3 of these materials, 1 square, or
3.1?
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
Yeah, or 2.9, whatever it is, whatever the math is.
1.33 or 0.33 for a bundle of things like that.
And then you're able to kind of go in, like, we're like, okay, well, we see in the pictures we need 2 pipe jacks. We can just add 2. Because some stuff's going to have to be manual. Not
right.
I mean, it'd be one day, maybe we'll take a drone shot and AI will be like, yep, there's 6 pipe jacks and 3 vents, and it'll just build the order.
Yeah, and we actually got some cool stuff like that coming in top secret in the works. But yeah, we did. Yeah.
All right, we're hearing it here.
Yeah.
Sweet, we got it out of them.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think, man, that's incredible, because that's one of those. Even for us as one of your customers, that's one of our big things, right? Because we order material for clients. So right now we're doing it in an Excel spreadsheet. We're manually taking your PG Precise and then putting in, okay, ridges, all the stuff, how many pipe jacks, and then it's generating in Excel a second PDF page.
Right.
Man, what if we could skip that step?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the part where I was
Huge
saying.
trust.
That's the part where I was saying is like we built so much, but just enough, not too much, that as you use the software, you realize like, oh, I didn't know it could do this, and then it literally takes a whole step from your whole process because it just automates it. So yeah, so you already have the PG Precise. You can literally say, okay, I want this shingle. Boom, it tells you exactly how many bundles you need and what's the cost and everything.
The quantities.
Yeah.
How is that imported? Like, is that something that the roofers need to set themselves?
No. So that's the thing is like, so the quantities is basically we have so every material at the bottom has an option, say, where do you want this material to grab from? So you could say, I want this material to grab from total squares or total squares without waste. And then that alone, the math that we have behind it, it basically calculates it. You can say, I want this shingle type, and it automatically calculates how many bundles you need and like the quantity completely. So you don't have to do that.
So that's already been set sort of by you
Yeah,
guys. Okay.
that's from our templates. Yep.
Okay.
And even when you the Excel sheet that we give you where you can create your own materials, we also give you very simple. We keep it very simple, just like a checkbox. Do you want it to grab from here? Do you want it to grab from your rakes and ridges and things like that?
Because
rakes and valleys or whatever.
One of the things I find is like with our algorithm, so to speak, right? Our code in Excel, it's something that I built, but it's all the time is like, oh man, there were 17 bundles left over from this job, and it's like, what?
Right,
and then we'll tweak it like, boop, and then it's like, hey, we're short 2 bundles.
Oh, wow.
What the heck?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't understand sometimes. So I think now we've kind of got it dialed in.
Great.
But like a lot of times, if you read on the back of the package, it'll say like, this hip and ridge shingle covers 33 feet.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It covers 29.
Right.
So is that something that we're able to go in
Yeah.
and say, hey, I don't want it to be 33. I want it to say 29.
Yeah, very flexible. Yeah, you can change that. Yeah.
That's sweet, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
You got my attention.
Thank you. Yeah, you can fine tune all that. We give you a template, but then you can go in there and fine tune it and get it exactly right for what works for your company.
That's incredible. That's huge. I think, man, just being able, I actually didn't know. So like you said,
yeah,
being able to have hidden things we don't know about.
Right. Then you're excited. You're like, oh man, I didn't know it could do this. And then like you like, oh man, I want to use this even more. And then you just start looking and finding more things. So there's a lot of little hidden features. But I have a contractor that recently called me, and he's like, man, I love this. I just found out about the materials. My whole team is trying to figure out how I'm calculating materials so fast. I'm like, well, send them my way. I'll show them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It can't be too good. It'll put me out of business. You know what I'm saying?
We'll partner up with you guys.
I think it's going to be something that we can really, even for our back end, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And obviously, if contractors, they want us for supplements but don't want us to deal with that stuff, I can say, hey, here's a great app for you to go use.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Now, one thing I was noticing that I think is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is different. You started the CRM from an app, right? And then you migrated it over to browser.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of people think that an app is small and it's just like a little utility, but we started the CRM as an app, and then we migrated it to the web browser. Now the office manager is on there making changes and things like that. They don't have to have their phones, or they can make a change on the website and then they can quickly pick up their phone and see those changes there and things like that. So yeah.
So besides like all the back end stuff, because obviously we know there's coding and stuff that we can tweak. Besides all that, is there anything you can't do on the app that you can do on, say, the computer?
So currently at the moment, you cannot order the roof measurements. You can, draw yourself. So with the CRM part, you can measure yourself and get those measurements. But the fact that if you don't want to measure or if you can't see the roof and you need us to measure, that's a different product. It's called PG Reports, and that's available on the website right now. But we are releasing the full software onto the mobile platforms probably next month.
Oh, really? Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you could still use it on mobile, right? If it was like a desktop version or something.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
can
in
still
the
use it.
app, right?
Yeah, so the cool thing about it is that the way we built it is like, if you don't, if you go on the website and order your PG reports, you can't order it from there, but you can see it on the app. So you can, if you have the app and say, I have this project, I need to order these measurements. You can't go on the app and order them, but you can go on the website, order them, and then when they're completed, you'll see it right into your project.
Yet.
Yeah, yes, exactly, yes.
By the time this comes out, it may be a fact, you know?
Right, exactly, yes.
So yeah.
Depending on when this comes out, it might be released or not.
If you're seeing this now, just go check because it might be there by this point.
And we're going to call it PG Reports.
PG Reports.
Yeah, we're going to keep it as a separate app. We trying to not to make. Yeah, we're trying to not to make. We're trying to like. We don't want you to have too many different apps, but at the same time, we have so many customers that only use the PG reports or only use the CRM.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just put a whole bunch of features. Then we're back to square one. We're back to the competitors.
Now, will we one day be able to order PG reports from the CRM?
Yep, sure.
At some point.
Or, if you think about it, let's just say Facebook. You're using Facebook. Some people like Facebook, some people don't. That's not the point. But if you're using Facebook, if you send a message, it takes you to the Messenger app.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of like seamlessly without you, So that's kind of like what we're trying to aim with.
Yeah.
So it's like we're trying to aim for that because, there's a lot of other things you'll be able to do with
so maybe
PG
you can't
reports
technically do it in the app, but we might be able to click and it'll open the other app
Yeah,
for
exactly.
us or something.
And that's what we're trying to do is trying to make it where we're not confusing the customer
awesome.
with too much stuff in the CRM.
Yeah, because like you say, simplicity, right?
Yeah, simplicity. Yeah, and then the PG reports, we want to add other things like you might want to do interiors and things like that. So we're working on some different types of reports.
So I think the cool thing with the CRM with pitch gauge is what you call it, right? That's the CRM.
Pitch gauge, yep.
It's because it's designed for mobile. I think now more than ever, no one wants to sit. I mean, most of these salespeople, a lot of them don't even have laptops. They don't have computers. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, now we're getting into sort of the generation where they're all gamers, so everyone has it,
Or the iPads are becoming more like computers too, so that's kind of...
They are.
Yeah.
So I think having a CRM, an app that's based on, mobile first, is pretty powerful because we've used a lot of different CRMs throughout our days, all the big ones, right? I've used pretty much all the big ones throughout my course of the last 12 years. The app always on the phone, the mobile always seems like there's stuff I can't do on mobile, and I have to get behind a laptop to do stuff.
Yep. And one thing that a lot of our competitors do is they create an app, but it's really just a website inside of an app. So they kind of trying to trick the trick the process. The bad thing about that is that if you don't have internet signal, you can't use it. With our software, our software works completely offline. So if you are in the middle of nowhere with no signal, you can still enter all your data, get all your measurements, generate your report, and then when you get back to the office, when you get a signal, it syncs back up, and then everyone can see it. But that's the whole deal. Is like there's sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere on top of a roof, and you don't have a signal, and your app won't load, and you're getting upset. So we made it completely available offline.
That's so true. Man, I didn't even think about the off. Man, that's huge.
Yeah.
Sort of just give me, if you had any advice to a company now who was struggling keeping things organized, how would you sell the concept of the importance of a CRM?
It's just important to be organized. It's important to have everything in one place. It'll make your life easier. There's something about like having to use too much mental power to figure out where all your stuff is. So if you're thinking like, oh, my files are on this app, then I go to this, where it's like it just takes so much from you. Then you might wonder why you're tired at the end of the day or why you have a headache. It's like you're using too much mental power and processing things that you don't need to. So if you could just make your life like simple and easy, and like Pitch Gauge, like we're a very small team. I did most of the coding. To this day, I do most of the coding, and people wonder, how can you manage so much? I just keep everything very organized and keep everything like I know where everything is at. So when I'm thinking about a customer, I don't have to think about like, where do I find the information? I already know I just go one place and then everything's there. So I would just say, just try to, CRM will help you stay organized and help your team stay connected.
So we've talked about your CRM. what I'd like to talk about is something that we do use every single day at Roofer Sidekick, which is your PG Precise. I want to tell you personally, like a huge thing that I've noticed. We've used, you name it, right? For aerial measurements, there's like the big four, I would say, right? We've used all of them. In our business, I have found that the PG Precise has been our favorite.
Great.
Simply because we found that no matter who you use, you're going to have some inconsistencies. Every company has inconsistencies because you're all pulling from different places. You've got trees in the way. You've got additions that were put on. You know, the guy doesn't take the right pictures. If you're using one that creates like a 3D model based off photos, something's wrong.
Right.
What I have found, though, is with Pitch Gauge, with PG Precise, when we find an inconsistency, you guys are the fastest to fix it for us. What do you think makes you guys so fast at being able to respond to that stuff?
What makes us so fast being able to respond to those things is that we really, really, really care about the customer. We care about what's going on out there. We care about, you know, your company. We care, you know, the way I think about it is if I have a report, if I order a report and I have a customer and I have to wait 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours to get something done, like you're sitting there stressing out, and I don't want my customers stressing out. I want my customers to be at ease. So that's really what makes us stand out, is that we really care about customers. We really, we're not just doing this to get rich. If we were doing this to get rich, we would be charging a whole lot more. You know, we're doing this because we love the industry, we love people, and we want to help businesses grow. So we don't want to keep you waiting. That's important to us.
Yeah, I will tell you from our experience, I think we've been using PG Precise exclusively now for about a year and a half.
Great, thanks.
Haven't used anything else since then. And I think maybe, I mean, we'll do anywhere between 15 and 40 claims a week, you know, on average. So that's 15 to 40 PG Precises we're ordering.
Right.
Because we order the measurements for every contractor. A lot of supplement companies, they like, just send us the measurements, we'll deal with it. We take that stress off of them, which is cool because now we can funnel all of our contractors through you, right? So now you've got like all these different roofing companies who are technically using you. But while in the year and a half, you know, I don't know, several hundreds we've ordered, I think we've only found like 4 that had inconsistencies. And it wasn't anything because of you guys. It was one, we put the address next door. Oops,
Right.
because the mailbox is labeled different than Google.
Right.
Or, you know, there was trees in the way, or they built an addition. Like, it was never your fault that there was inconsistencies. But I think that it's always taken less than 6 hours, if I remember right, to get those 4 fixed.
Sure, yeah.
And for me, I'm like, for me to even get a response from another company, hey, there's an issue, from one of the biggest names, what they told me was like, oh, well, just, you know, you can log into the portal and draw it yourself and fix it. I'm like,
Wow.
if I wanted to draw it myself, I would have drawn it myself.
Exactly
Like,
right,
I want
yeah.
you to go fix the problem.
Right.
And they're like, well, we need a sketch to show us. I'm like, I get that. You can't see it. But I don't want to have to go in and change things, you know. So I think that's an incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, that's important to us. You're right. There are going to be some inconsistencies. Sorry, that word is always hard for me to say. I speak 3 languages, so it's really hard for me to say. But there's always going to be some issues every once in a while. But you know, you might have an addition, like you said, new construction, things like that. But it's just, to us, it's just so important to get back to you right away. Like we have 24/7 customer service, and it's just very important for us to be able to take care of the customer right away and respond quickly. And you know, I just think about it like, if this was my business, you know, what kind of response time would I have? So we try to be number 1 in customer service.
Well, in my opinion, I think you are.
Thank you.
I really
very
do.
much. Thank you.
I also think that now, if let's say that instead of me trying to draw out a sketch and send it to you to fix, I am able, though, right, to go in and manipulate and edit those if I wanted to, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can do that. You can, you know, make some changes if something was missed. You can't really just change the squares, you know, because the insurance have to be aware, you know.
Right.
So if something's wrong, you can reach out to us like that. But you know, our reports are accepted by all insurance companies. We haven't had any rejected at all from any insurance companies. Most insurance companies are using us also. I've had it where a contractor called me and says, hey, I'm on this roof with this insurance adjuster, and he's using you guys right now. So it's like both contractor and the insurance adjusters are using us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And of course, in our business, we that's our business, right? We deal with insurance companies every single day.
Right. Yeah.
Many.
Yeah.
And we always use your measurements to build the reports. And I will say they tend to always work in our favor over, let's say, whatever else the insurance is using.
Right.
Just out of accuracy. So I'll even so whenever we do these reports, even though we're ordering them, we still have the contractor, we recommend them take the longest ridge they can find, right, and just go ahead and measure it with a tape anyway. Right. So we can say, okay, well, your tape says it's 23 feet, but this says it's 21 feet or 20, right, and then that's when we reach out to you and say, hey, this is, now with you guys, I don't think we've ever ran into that problem, but with the other companies we were using, it was all the time, like, it was always short.
Sure, yeah. We've done thousands and thousands of reports, and I can probably count with like one hand how many times somebody says, hey, this is the wrong measurement.
Yeah.
And that was just like literally like one person had a roof that was 812, and they made some changes and changed it to 912. I'm like, I've never seen that happen, but literally the whole pitch change of the roof, and it was because some new construction and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Now, and because you're getting the pitches with essentially a side angle or sort of a street view kind of thing. Right?
Well, that part is kind of top secret, but we use unique technology that no other company uses. Okay. So, every company has their own way, but we use just unique technology that no one else is using.
Sure, makes sense. But obviously, you can't. It's difficult, I imagine, to know if it's changed from the data you have, and now it's different.
Right?
How would you ever know?
Yeah, you can't really tell, and that's why we keep. So every time you order a PG report, when you get it, at the bottom it has a 1-800 number. That most of the time that phone rings right to me, and I like to take most support calls. I probably take 99% of all support calls, just because I want to make sure that the customer is well taken care of. But with that being said, we don't get that many phone calls, so that's why I can handle the support.
Yeah. So, and if you want, we can put this next part out of camera. But I have a question.
Sure, yeah.
I need to know.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Would you ever consider out? Right.
Yeah.
Everything. Well, guys, listen. If you need any aerial measurements, right? If you need a CRM, if you need what else you got? You got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we have the CRM. We have the CRM. We have a whole bunch of free tools. You can download the app for free, no cost. You can create an account for free, no cost. You can actually get a lot of measurements for free if you do it yourself. So we give a lot of value for just very little price, and we keep it inexpensive. I don't use the word cheap because people think when I use the word cheap, it's like, but we keep it inexpensive because I built the product. I have a small team. I have a few investors that have been telling me that I need to charge more, but I'm trying to take care of it in the industry. I want to see companies grow. I want to help people. I love to see, like, if I help one company grow, they hire more people, then we're feeding a lot of families here, and this is really cool to me. That's really what I love.
So what does it cost to get the paid version of CRM?
So so you download the app for free. You go in and create an account for free, and then once you want to start using the CRM, right now it's only $10 a month. It's going up to $20 a month, but it's $10 a month per user, and you can create one project or 100 projects. There's literally no catch, no contract. We don't have no hidden fees, no nothing. We just keep everything very simple. We're here to help the industry out and not confuse anything and make things worse.
So $10 a user, going to $20 a user, and that pretty much gives you access to everything in the CRM. And then how much is it for your
PG reports?
For the reports?
So the reports they start at $15. So the way it works is like we sell credits. So one credit would be one report, but you can buy like 100 credits and you can get them down to like $10 a report. So
yeah, I think that's what we typically do. We just buy like a bulk of them for you guys.
Yeah, that helps because you can use them as you go, and then you can end up really saving a lot of money.
Yeah, it's nice. And when you're ordering a bunch every week, it definitely does.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, awesome. Well, do you have any other big secrets or knowledge, or what sort of a closing thing would you just tell people?
I would say, like, since we really focus on small to medium-sized companies, we have large companies, of course, but since we really focus on small to medium, large companies, I would say if you're out here trying to start a roofing company, if you're new, if you just got 1 employee or 10 employees, just give it your best, because like I started from nothing, not knowing anything about roofing, and now we have a software, have a nice team. So just give it your best, because I always say that, like, from every family, there comes one person from a generation that can change everything from multiple generations. So why can't that be you? So give it your best, be focused. TikTok, social media, all that stuff kind of takes up a lot of your time. You can focus. When I was learning how to code and stuff, literally every second that I could, I was like trying to learn something about the industry, trying to understand. So just give it your best, stay focused, and understand that there's people that are depending on you, people that you might not even know yet that are depending on you. So you got it.
Man, stay focused. Get off the phone, huh?
Yep, and don't panic. Sometimes things get stressful. Don't panic, stay focused. My motto is, don't freak out. That's my thing. It's like, don't freak out, calm down, everything's good. You remember those high moments, because when you're up there, you're going to be down, but you're going to get back up there. So just remember those moments, remember how they feel, and just tell yourself you're going to get back there.
Yeah, that's powerful, dude. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, I think anybody that needs anything that Pitch Gauge has, I highly recommend them. We've been using them in our business. We find everything that they have to be super high quality. Even though it's simple, it doesn't mean it's limited, because it sounds like it's an unlimited amount of features are hidden back there. You just got to go find them.
Yep.
And if you can't find them, I know somebody that can help you find them.
We'll take care of you.
Abraham's going to take good care of you. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining this episode of the Sidekick Show, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So take care.